A completely ordinary day took a terrible, unfortunate turn when 21-year-old Savannah Gold vanished, leaving no traces at all. As more and more of the investigation began to unfold, a trail of surveillance footage and cryptic messages were unraveled, and a web of secrets, betrayal, and a shocking twist that is sure to send shivers down your spine. Stick with us till the end of this video as we delve into the puzzling disappearance of Savannah Gold and the scary truths that lay hidden in this particular case of Lee Rodarte. This incident occurred in Jacksonville, Florida on August 2, 2017 at around 5:15 p.m. Savannah Gold, age 21, drove to her job at the Bonefish Grill. Her car is seen in the parking lot, but she never arrives at work. At 5:31 p.m., she got out of her car and spoke to a man later identified as Lee Rodarte, as he sat in another vehicle in the parking lot only a few spaces away from Gold's car. At 5:45 p.m., she got into Rodarte's car, which began shaking. He cut the front driver's side tire and took Gold's phone out. At 6:04 p.m., Gold went back to his car and left. This was caught on surveillance footage, but it was not immediately clear what transpired after that because he never got out of the car while it was in the parking lot or when it was clearly visible as he was driving away. Gold's father got suspicious at 6:29 p.m. after receiving an odd text from Gold's phone. The material was littered with grammatical mistakes and didn't seem to follow Gold's writing style. The message essentially stated that she had met a man and that at 6:30 p.m., the two of them were escaping. They attempted to call Gold's phone after receiving a text from his brother a minute later that supported their story, but no one responded, so they called the police. The police discovered Gold's car and some personal goods in the restaurant parking lot, but they did not discover her phone. Lee Rodarte, a 28-year-old chef who worked in that restaurant, was the first employee the police questioned. Rodarte denied having any contact with Gold in the previous few days, but after speaking with other employees, the police realized Rodarte was the man in the surveillance video. When Rodarte was arrested at the restaurant on August 5th for an outstanding traffic warrant, he agreed to an interview with the police and later admitted that he had lied about having seen Gold on the day she vanished. He went to the Bonefish Grill to confront Gold about how she was spreading racial rumors, and he was the only person identified with the car that matched the car in the video. He claimed that Gold indicated that she was high on heroin and feeling paranoid, that is why she wanted to climb into his vehicle, even though heroin use is not associated with paranoia, because there are often other drugs cut into heroin, so it is certainly possible, although unlikely, that an otherwise healthy heroin user would be paranoid. He said that Gold indicated that she was high on heroin and feeling paranoid. That's why she wanted to climb into his vehicle. The detectives noticed that Rodarte had a wound on his neck, and he responded that it was a self-inflicted injury. At this point, the detectives became more comfortable applying pressure, and we see that Rodarte locked into a story that was inconsistent with the video surveillance which captured his vehicle. He told the investigators that a green pickup truck came by and that he got into that vehicle, and the truck drove off. Rodarte changed his story, claiming that they were high on drugs. Then he put his hands around her neck and heard a pop. Realizing that she was dead and not wanting to cause trouble, he burned her body and dumped it into a retention pond after wrapping it in plastic and duct tape. As a result, he was charged with second-degree murder with a weapon, tampering with evidence, and abuse of a human body. It's not immediately clear what weapon that was used in the crime. Rodarte had claimed that he was acting in self-defense, so following his confession and subsequent charge, he's now claiming that this was all self-defense and shifting away from his original account. This leads us to the conclusion that Rodarte is guilty because, as far as we're aware, he confessed to murder. In addition to the error of murder, this case involves a single killing between two people who at least once had romantic feelings for one another. Unfortunately, cases of this nature are not especially uncommon. Rodarte made the error of speaking to the police in a way that is compatible to homicidal behavior, in that both appear to show impulsivity. It appears that both of them immediately expressed a desire to find a solution to the issue. Rodarte didn't realize that he was in for the long haul once the police caught up with him. He needed to hire a lawyer because the investigation would take a while. He would be considered a suspect for months or even years, and there was always the chance that he would be found guilty and given a prison sentence. He wanted the pain and terror to disappear right away, so he confessed to the police in the hopes that it would put them off his track. However, what really stands out about this case is what transpired during the police interview after the confession. The published video does not include the confession, but we can see what transpires before and after. Rodarte should have known, or perhaps did know, that the recording continues after the detective leaves the room. He appeared to be distressed by the crime he committed and from confessing to it, because he was sentenced to life in prison. Some examples of what he said include, "My mother is going to die when I'm in jail. Why are you here? What's wrong with you?" He was also heard apologizing to Gold. Many people had compassion for Rodarte as a result of the entire talk he had with himself. Don't forget about Savannah Gold. Some people have said, in response to this kind of sympathy some people feel for Rodarte. The interrogation video depicts the moment a man realizes his life has effectively ended at that point. People watching a video of the murder that was close enough to see what actually transpired would undoubtedly feel sorrow and empathy for Savannah Gold.
Hitting me, after I retired. And it went back and forth, and I squeezed her hard.
You squeezed her around her neck or around her neck with your hands?
She had her hands around mine.
Okay.
Both circumstances are tragic, of course. It's crucial to keep in mind that Rodarte was directly responsible for this by his own actions. Whether or not this was just one impetuous error, Rodarte is simply too dangerous to be left unchecked. Everyone is safer with Rodarte in prison because no one can ever be trusted with someone who is capable of that kind of impetuous aggression.
I thought my hands were around her shoulders.
Okay.
My hands were around her neck.
Okay.
Then I turned, and when I went to push her down onto the seat,
Okay.
but my hands were on her neck.
Okay.
I thought I had her right here.
You thought you had her up here?
Yeah, I thought I had her like right here.
Yeah.
And I ended up coming down.
Okay.
And I just heard a pop.
Okay, you heard a pop sound? Okay.
And she just...
And you had both hands like this around this part of her neck? Could you feel a pop?
Yeah.
Okay, where did you feel
I
it?
just heard it, and then it felt like...
Even if one wanted to argue that Rodarte is really not a bad guy and he just made one mistake in the heat of the moment, why did he burn the body and hide the body? If we look at the histories in detail, many offenders work their way up to increasingly dangerous impulses of aggressive behavior, and they included some behavior that was aggressive but not impulsive, so premeditated. It's natural that he sought to avoid accountability, but that's difficult in and of itself because it seems to contradict the notion that he's a fine man who just made a mistake. So how does this case stand? As we previously mentioned, Rodarte has changed his story once more, this time claiming self-defense. He claimed that because he was afraid after receiving a face slap, he accidentally broke Gold's neck. Rodarte attempted to argue that it was a stand-your-ground case, but that argument was rejected, so there's going to be a trial. There are a few issues with the self-defense claim because Gold was not armed. At the very least, we're not aware of one. It's a tragedy that this homicide seemed to happen out of the blue. There isn't much else that could have been done to have stopped it because Rodarte's decision not to carry out the crime. And there you have it, the chilling case of Lee Rodarte. What are your opinions on this case? Feel free to share them in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.